All right, so everyone, thank you so much for joining us as we dive back into Rise of the Sovereign for episode 17. Can't believe we're already on 17 episodes, just crazy. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to do a quick introduction of our cast tonight, and then we're going to do a quick recap of episode 16 before we dive into the action tonight. So before we get started, let's go ahead and meet our rogues gallery. Starting up top, we have...
Hi, everybody. I'm Ellie, Elbel. I am a Twitch variety streamer. I am here with this group of shenanigans where we accidentally all wore blue today. Not planned. I am playing the Arcane Trickster rogue named Anne Hothamore this evening, and I am ready for some stealthy action.
Stealthy action. And then below me in the blue...
Not playing a rogue, I'm Laszlo. I play Lorex, the Dwarf Genie, who I suppose he likes water, and that's blue. I don't know.
And
move on to the next blue guy. Yeah.
And then below him in more blue is...
Hey, I'm Danny. I play Goliath Vimak. Trying to think of some blue stuff. I don't know. Give bruises, they're more like purple? I don't know.
All right, and all the way down at the bottom in the headset we have...
Hello, I'm Wes, and I'm playing Cordan Acosta, the Circle of Stars Druid, and I'll probably try to turn into some blue animal tonight. We'll see.
Ooh, oh man.
Hopefully a rhino.
A blue rhino, that would be fun.
Yeah. So many.
It makes propane gas.
Right. That actually has happened in a previous game. All right, so now let's do a quick recap. So last week, in episode 16, the group had returned home to Faerun, into their home realm safely. After being thrust out into another realm, they returned home and they were able to meet up with some allies they had been waiting to meet up with for some time. The Volanavi clan, the Goliath clan, had finally made it down just a couple of miles north of Waterdeep. They had set up camp, and this 60 plus strong Goliath clan had brought them all together, and finally we got to meet the chieftain Arabarun. This is the clan that Vimak came from all the way back in the prologue of the game several months ago, and now they're here, and we met the chieftain. We also met their spiritual leader, a Galma spirit walker, and she is kind of like their oracle, and she was actually the one that was able to plane shift and bring them back home. So now they meet and they feast together, and they were having a great time when all of a sudden they saw that another approaching force was coming in, and a large force of about 80 Duergar dwarves were marching in on their position. The Duergar cast some spells on themselves and had them grow large, and we had a mass combat. We got to use some of the new rules that we've been playing around with the Strongholds and Followers, which is a 5th edition supplement written by Matt Colville. So we got to see that kind of in action as the Goliath and the Duergar clan kind of clashed, and we had this big mass combat scene. And it wasn't going good for the Volanavi clan to start until reinforcement arrived, and what we saw was the Kuatoa, Lorex's followers had come up to meet them, and they came out and they actually ended up flanking the Duergar, and they actually ended up helping win the day. And while
Don't mess with my followers, man.
Don't mess with the Kuatoa. And while we saw, about half of the Duergar slain, the other half fled, they were victorious. They did have some casualties with the Goliath clan, but it was a victory nonetheless. It was after all of this, in the aftermath of this giant battle that we saw, that as Anne was going around the battlefield, she noticed a strange set of footprints. And those footprints were boots, but they were like fashionable boots, not something that either the Goliath, the foot was too small for that, or the Duergar, the foot was maybe a little bigger than that, or it just didn't look right. So she was looking around, following those footprints, and ended up finding out that it was someone who was kind of stalking her and watching her and was invisible. And she kind of had this conversation and found out that it seemed to be some type of someone who called themselves Captain Zordaz Zord. And after talking to him for a while, they coerced him into dropping his invisibility, and they kind of parlayed with the pirate for a few moments. And everything was going pretty well whenever he pulled out this stone, sat it in front of him, and he and Vimak entered into this game where they would ask each other questions in front of this stone. The stone put up a field that would not allow either of them to lie. So they actually had to forcibly, answer each other's questions. And the pirate found out what he wanted to know: why they were here, why they were with the Goliath, why this clan, were they hostile to the Waterdeep people. And he kind of began to dig in and ask questions about who the collective is and what is all of this that's going on. And also he was very interested in Anne Hothamore, why she was traveling, and he seemed to know her by name. He also knew that she was wanted and not, had a lot of bad dealings supposedly going on in Waterdeep. He knew a lot of information. Vimak, in turn, was able to find out that Zordaz Zord was not his real name. His name was actually Jarlaxle Bonray, and he dropped his guys to show the image of the legendary dark elf, rogue, nobleman.
I believe his eye patch moved to the other side.
Yes, his eye patch moved to the other side.
Like the mole in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
The mole was the same. So we finally got to see who this person was. And through the conversations, they found out that they may actually be on the same side in a way. Jarlaxle was very interested to find out what the collective was. He had a lot of dealings with the Illithid and was very interested in finding out if they were indeed telling the truth. And he also seemed to know about the Hothamores, and he was even wearing a cloak that was made by Miles. So he seemed to have some dealings with Miles in the past. So all of this happened, and Jarlaxle had invited the group to, because some of the Duergar had gotten away, that was probably best if they would join him on his 3 vessels that were out at sea, that were invisible or under the ocean, or somehow they were out there and they never actually saw them, but to actually let him set sail and take them to the other side of Waterdeep safely to get back to where they want to go. This was something that he had offered, and the clan and the party had accepted, and that is where we're going to pick up the game tonight. So tonight, as we dive back into episode 17 of Rise of the Sovereign, we're going to pick up on board the boat. At this point, the Goliath have all kind of been dispersed amongst the 3 boats. The 3 boats that we have are the Eye Catcher, the Heartbreaker, and the Hellraiser. Now, the flagship is the Eye Catcher, and that is where the scene will pick up tonight, as the party is on board the Eye Catcher, which is the flagship of this small fleet of, as you get on, you see all of the people, all of the sailors, they're all human, but as you get closer, you realize that it's all a guise. They're not human. There's some type of magical effect happening on all of the ships. You sense that the way that they move and the way that they talk does not seem human. It seems elven, and you quickly deduce that everyone on here are probably drow. So these are all of Jarlaxle's men, and they are all in service to him. So we're going to pick up on board the Eye Catcher. The party is there. There's also a couple of Kuatoa that have come on board, as kind of, emissaries to kind of see what's going on. Also, the Drow are very interested. They've never had positive dealings with the Kuatoa, so they find it very interesting that these seem to be in service, to the group. So that is where we're going to pick up. Now, before we dive into tonight's action, do any of the players have any questions? Any questions at all? Are we ready to dive in?
Not
I'm
for
excited.
The current.
Huh? Not currently. All right, so let's dive into the action. So the first thing we're going to do tonight is we're going to go around the table. I've got a couple things for each of you. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick on our friend up top, and we're going to go to Anne. So as you are sailing out, Jarlaxle lets everyone know that the best thing to do is to sail around Waterdeep. So he wants to actually sail out to sea, cut back, and then sail back in and not actually cross in front of Waterdeep, just to make sure that everything is safe. So you're actually sailing out to sea, and he says once it gets dark, we'll turn around and come back in. So you're basically going to have a night at sea. And as you're sailing out, everyone, they're getting food, they're merriment, they're playing music. It seems to be a very happy atmosphere, and all of the sailors are very happy to have you on board. You notice that Jarlaxle, as he's walking about, he has gone back into his other form as Captain Zardoz, and they all refer to him as Captain Zardoz. There are several females on board as well that seem to follow him around as well. And he's the leader of it all, but there's actually a separate captain for the ship, and his name is Lorath Farm. Lorath Farm is the captain, and he is the one that is kind of captaining the ship. Captain Zord is just kind of there overseeing and just kind of being a fixture. So it is at this point that we're sailing out that we turn the focus to Anne. Now, Anne, as you are sailing out, and as this is break of day, the sun is coming up, there's wind across the sails, it's just a beautiful scene, and it's the first time you've really felt a chance to breathe. We've just had so much happen, and just it's been fierce fighting, and then the big battle we just had. It's just first time to kind of breathe and just kind of collect your thoughts. There's a lot of things, a lot of confusion about, the Sovereign and who you serve with Miles and with Ceridwen, and also with the collective. You seem like there's this huge problem that's even bigger than you thought it was going to be. How do you even comprehend on what is the next step? And as you were kind of doing that, you kind of daydream and your mind shifts backwards and you start thinking about the time that you first met Miles. You were at Beetle's, which was the tavern in Undercliff, that is run by the halflings there. And as a very small child, you were orphaned on the streets of Waterdeep, and you had found yourself outside this tavern, and you were picking the pockets, and you were trying to collect food and water, and you were just basically trying to eke a living outside of Beetle's when, by chance, you met Miles, and Miles saw you and brought you in, and you just remember how gentle he was, how kind he was. He offered you a home, and he offers you more than just a home and food, but also a sense of being and a family, and how he helped educate you and helped get you. And it was almost like he understood not just your situation, but also he understood what you were. He knew about your abilities. He was between he and Ceridwen, they were able to educate you on, how to use all of your abilities. And you just kind of think about this long history, this family that you've had, but also this sense of, do you really know them? There's so many things that are coming up that you didn't know. You didn't know about the fact that he was a lich. You didn't know that this whole, you knew, growing up, you'd heard stories about the Sovereign or the Collective, or you heard of some of these things in passing, but it wasn't until recently that this whole thing has become out in front of you, and it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to process. So that is kind of where your mind is at. Do you have any other thoughts you want to add to that as you're kind of recalling that memory?
I don't think so. I think you put it very well. I think Anne just feels confused, a little bit lost. She feels betrayed might be the wrong word, but she really feels like Miles is omitting a lot of the truth and not giving everybody the information that they need. At this point, realizing how big this is, and really has no idea what the next step is. And so, especially looking out at the open water and being like, okay, this is everything that we have, and there's so much space here. It feels like everything feels a little bit endless and a little bit lost.
As you're kind of lost in thought, your concentration is broken when you hear the cursing of the captain. Lorith Farm off, as you're looking out, is off to your left, back in boat. You see that he's cursing, and he sits up, and you didn't realize what was going on. You saw that he was crouched behind you, but apparently he had set up some type of dice game with one of the Kuatoa, and apparently he has lost in a game of chance, the Kuatoa. and he's blasting, obscenities, and the captain, Zord looks over and goes, nope, it was a fair bet, a fair wager. You better pay the man. And when he does that, the captain removes his hat. And when he removes his hat, he shifts back from being human to drow form. He sets the hat onto the Kuatoa, who then shifts into human form. And everyone kind of laughs, and even the Kuatoa sitting next to him, they laugh as well. And the Kuatoa is like talking, still sounding like a Kuatoa, just he's human. And everyone's kind of laughing and everyone having a good time. The captain is super upset. That one of the Kuatoa now has his trireme hat and puts it on and has shifted back into human form. And he's kind of and the Kuatoa is like taking it out and putting it on the ground, and they're all kind of taking turns with it as and it's kind of turned into this game. And there's a lot of laughter that's happening about the group as well. But it's also, as upsetting as it is to the captain, it's you see there's a lot of like brotherhood and just people are kind of coming together in this moment, even at the loss of the captain itself. But that is what you see as you are going. Now, while all this is happening, we're going to go down to Vimak. We're going to skip down and go down to Vimak. Now, Vimak, while you are at sea, you're up on the deck. Now, the Goliath were really spread out because there's so many of you. There's some Goliath on every boat, but you and Rune are on the same ship as well. You're on the Eye Catcher as well. And Rune's looking over and goes, "You did well in battle. You've come a long way in your fighting skills these few months that you've been away."
Thank you, Chieftain. Yes, we've got more. We've been training them, dwarves.
Well, I believe if we come into this battle again in the days to come, I would like to trust that you would lead our army into battle again. So I would like to make you captain.
Absolutely. What an honor. Thank you.
Yeah, see. And as he's saying that, you see a couple other Goliath looking over his shoulder, like kind of nodding in agreement. One of the other Goliath goes and kind of puts his hand on your shoulder and kind of slaps you on the and you kind of feel this, big slapping and everything. And he looks over, he goes, "So, what's this Miles like?"
Supposedly his real name is Sir Alaric.
Alaric.
Arvon. And he is enigmatic. Keeps a lot to himself. Seems good-hearted. Maybe his methods are a little suspect. I'll tell him about the shortages and all that.
Do you believe he can be trusted?
I believe that even if he can't, he's the lesser of two evils right now. Seems like he can be trusted, but he holds a lot back.
If we were to be in a battle together, would he be an asset or a liability?
If he's on our side, he's definitely an asset.
You've seen him fight?
I've seen him rain destruction from the sky.
We'll use that, I'm sure. Is there anything else you can tell me?
I don't know how familiar they are with the lithids, and I'll just explain that to him if he isn't. I know she is, Galma is, but not necessarily him. And I'll tell him about the forces we have back.
These are lithid.
At the stronghold.
Did you were able to hurt it with your maul?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Well, if it bleeds, we can kill it. And everyone kind of laughs, and then we'll cut from there, and we'll go to Cordan down below. Now, Cordan, you are below deck. You are hanging out with Galma. Galma had said something to you before the battle that struck you, is that while you were gazing out, looking at the stars, trying to calculate how long you had before the comet, the Yoskayan comet, would come this way, she had said, well, why don't we just foresee when it was going to be here? And she had mentioned something about talking to the storm giants. So you're very inquisitive about what that is. So you've been down with her, and you see that she's dealing with a magic that's very odd to you. It's similar. It's divination magic, which you're familiar with, but it just seems different. It's more shamanism in a way. But as she's sitting there, she's sitting back in this quiet deck. This is basically looks like somebody's room that they'll kind of taken over. And she's sitting on the bed, and you hear her speaking in this tongue that you believe you've heard Vimak say use before. But it's almost like a runic language, and she's sitting there talking, and it's almost like she's in an argument with somebody, and it's getting heated, and you're sitting there trying to infer what's happening. At this point, she kind of shakes out of it, and she looks at it and goes, "The storm giants know something, and they're not telling me. They seem to not be as concerned about the collective as something else they're dealing. I'm not sure, but I best go to them. What do you think?"
I guess I'll keep doing my math.
I'll come back to you, but I'll have an answer for you. Yes. Tell Rune that I needed to go and seek out the sage advice of the storm giants. Something else is not. It is not right for me to call and tell them of something so tragic as what is happening, and them to be so callous about it. I best go and see what they're up to.
Be careful.
Give Rune counsel while I am gone. And when she says that, she kind of like starts waving her arm, and there's this rippling, and she just kind of walks through the decking of the boat, and she's gone. So what would you like to do now?
I guess I will seek out the leader of the storm giants.
Arcane. Oh no, you mean the Goliath, Arcane.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go above deck. You see what's happening. As you come up, you hear the laughter of everything. You see the Kuatoa playing with some hat. You don't care. You walk right past them. You find Arcane is talking to Vimak, and you see a bunch of Goliath kind of like slapping Vimak on the shoulder when you walk up. And Vimak, you kind of turn your shoulder. You see Cordan walk up to you.
Cordan, come join us.
I need to tell your leader something.
And Arcane looks over and he pulls. Well, what is it you want to say, little man?
Galma has left.
What? Why?
She said she needed to consult with the storm giants.
I can never tell if she's coming or going. Whatever. And he's kind of sloshing his ale about, and he goes, more ale for the rest of us. And a few Goliath around kind of laugh and everything. And it doesn't seem to be it just seems like she does this from time to time, so he doesn't seem to be overly concerned. Is there anything else?
I'm going to make eye contact with Vimak and then kind of motion, come here.
Okay. All right, so at this point, it's just Vimak and Cordan kind of off the deck by herself.
She is extremely worried about something. She went to consult with them she was mentally consulting with them about the time we have before the comet returns, and she said that they wouldn't even talk to her. Something else was going on, so I don't know what's going on there.
Okay.
She said for me to give counsel to him, but I don't think he's going to listen to me, so it's probably best you do.
Right. Speaks Dwarvish, doesn't he? Don't you?
Me? No, I don't speak Dwarvish.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, our Arcane can be hard to rein in, but we can do it.
As all of this is happening, Lorex, you're on the front of the ship. You're at the very front of the ship, and you have a troubled brow. There's all the things that are just so troubled. All the things that are happening. You are standing on the bow of the ship, and you have your lantern in your hand. It is now in your possession. What are you doing?
He's just looking out over the water, just kind of keeping to himself for the most part.
Okay. So as we go into day, some of the Kuatoa come and they bring you food. But you've kind of stayed away. Like, you're just hanging out there lost in thought. The Kuatoa see and you hear them whispering like, Lorex he's planning our next assault up there. Look at him, he's so wise. And they're just kind of looking back at, the majesty that is Lorex up on the bow of the ship. And this is the way things go as we get into night. And at this point, the ships turn and start heading back. Is there anything anyone wants to do now that it is night? It's gotten very lively on the boats. There's a lot of party and merrymaking. Jarlaxle is out now in full regalia. And he's wearing like a long jacket, no shirt. He's showing off his abs that the women are with him are liking. He's quite the entertainer, and everyone is sitting around and is like, oh, Master Bonre, tell us the story of, and he's just kind of like just regaling everyone with the time, all these sword fights and grand adventures he's been on. Maybe true, maybe embellished, it's hard to tell. But he's entertaining to watch and everything. And with that, he's like, and as he finishes another story, he goes, but I want to know more about, Anne, you tell us one of your grand adventures. Tell us one of the stories of your, I don't know, conquering some great evil. Tell us more about yourself.
Are we all on the same boat?
Yes.
Okay.
And as you get ready, one of the sailors goes and hands you an ale and goes, it helps if you drink this.
Thank you. Story of great adventure. We adventured through the Underdark.
And as soon as you say that, everyone's, tell us your adventures in our homeland.
And I would explain the story of our adventure through the Underdark, meeting the Undertakers and fighting the Drider. And
now, when you say that you fought the Drider, they're all like, a worthy adversary. And you see some of them look like, that's interesting. It's rare to see that. And you fought this. You killed the Drider?
With the help of my friends, yes.
And then Jarlaxle goes, I can tell she's being modest, I bet. You were the one. You've got the killer eye. He's really taking a liking to you. He thinks more of you than you do, it seems.
Don't tell him about the exploding treasure and that poor dwarf.
I will not. I would admit leaving out stealing lost treasures of dwarven kind. Maybe the sad tale of Soot, the ever-flying cat. And
flying or falling?
Falling with style.
Falling with style. And losing a great companion, and just kind of explaining the adventures of that. And
nice. Now, the more you get into this, the crew seems to love you and everything. And with that, they kind of pass the storytelling baton over to someone else. And as that happens, Jarlaxle, he shoos his two ladies away and goes and sits next to you and says, so, I believe you and I need to chat some more. I'm just dying to know why exactly you're here. There's something about you just doesn't add up. So what is it that you're hiding? Like, who is your master that you're such in a hurry to return to?
I have no master but myself.
I think that's a little bit of a fib, but I'll let you have that one. I'm curious. I want to help you, and I believe that we can be allies, but I want to know who I'm dealing with exactly.
You're dealing with us?
Right, and who set you out on this grand quest? This is if what you're saying is true, and I am starting to believe that it is, it's bigger than your group. It's bigger than us. If what you are saying is true, we're going to need a lot of allies. And I do mean we, because this isn't a battle against you versus some other strange. It's not guild on guild. It's not your group versus another group. This is all
World
of
domination.
it. That's a strong way to put it, but yes, which means we're either in this together or we're not, and I believe we're in this together. So, again, I ask you, who set you out on this?
Did we tell? I can't remember if Danny said anything about Miles during this back
No.
and forth.
No.
They attacked my family. And
Your family, they attacked. So it was the collective who attacked the Hothamore Manor.
correct.
Were you there when Miles died?
Yes.
I've heard rumors that maybe he's not dead.
He died. I watched his head get ripped off.
Oh, he takes a drink. That'll do it. But we do live in a fantastical place. Did he return?
Anne doesn't know what to say.
I think not saying anything, you won't betray anything, but I think that it gets the point across.
He gets the point, yeah.
Your silence is deafening on that. We'll just put a pin in that for now. After we drop you off, I'm going to set sail and return to Luskin. And I am going to confer and hopefully strum up some support for, we'll just call it our endeavor. And I would like to be able to tell my friends and my allies that we have powerful friends or other friends in Waterdeep. And when I tell them it's the four of you and some Goliath, it doesn't have a lot of gravity behind it. I need to know if there's anyone else in on
Do you
this.
trust me?
I do and I don't. I believe everything you've told me so far, but I believe there's an awful lot of information that you are not telling me.
I don't know you, so why should I tell you information that is
I'm
private?
trying to get to know you now.
You are trying. And you're prying for more information.
Guilty as charged.
Instead of showing us reasons to trust you, which you are doing by taking us
I
home.
am giving you food and
Yes.
drink and shelter and travel, and I might be able to bring an army to your cause. I just want to know what I'm bringing that army to.
To fight the collective. We are on the same page of that.
Right,
battle.
but when we land, who are we joining up with? Your Goliath and you, or is there more? What are you hiding? He can
What are
tell.
you-
He can tell.
None of us are around any of this. So.
No, it's just him and Ann off to the side. You all see them having this conversation. Cordan, you see your cousin over here, and we use the word cousin loosely, but you see your your cousin over there having this conversation with this shady character. Do you just gonna sit back, or are you gonna just kind of let it happen, or are you gonna go and?
I would try to make eye contact with her, where if like, do you want me to come over there, kind of thing.
I'd return the eye contact and be like,
Oh.
be like,
Help
"There's
me!
a shady man trying to get information out of me by using his charm, and it's not working.
So
But
I would
I'm
approach.
very intrigued by Anna's very intrigued by him. So it's kind of one of those conversations where you're like, I don't want to walk away. I'm not going to answer your questions, but like she is equally as interested in him about his past and why he wants to fight this. So I think she'd ask him that instead of answering his question. Why is fighting the collective so important to you?
Well, it's very bad for business if there are things about that are taking your mind. And I've had some dealings with the Illithid in the past. We all on this ship have at different points, and they are quite dangerous. But what you're talking about, one thing that we know is that Illithid left unculled for a certain long amount of time, and given time to spread can be quite a problem. So what you are proposing is that this thing has gone on unabated for too long, and its roots may be extremely deep. And if that is the case, then there is no coin or adventure or anything to be had if we're all serving some Illithid.
We are on the same side of that battle.
Then who are you working with?
You don't need to know that.
I'm gonna come tromping over and over. Do do do.
Ah! Welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
Cordan, correct?
Yes.
Ah.
Pleased to make your acquaintance.
And he
Can I borrow my cousin for just a moment?
Sure. I believe we were coming to the end of our conversation anyway. Are you enjoying
We'll
yourself?
be back.
Ah,
We'll-
sure.
we'll be
sure.
back.
All right, and with that, he kind of like floats over and starts talking to Arcane and making sure the Goliath are well. So at this point, we have Anne and Cordan are kind of off to the side talking as well.
We
Yes.
have 4 people that we trust, right? The 4 of us.
Yes.
I think it's time we gather together and discuss what's going on, because it's obvious. I
He's
could tell from
trying.
your conversation, yes.
He wants to know everything. And isn't okay with the fact of knowing that we're all fighting the collective.
Okay, I'm going to try to get Danny and Lorex together. Or Vimak and Lorex, excuse me.
Yeah, come on.
So,
So
with the
just-
4 of us together, here's what I want to ask. Do we know whether or not the collective knows that Miles is alive?
Now, I do want to state that Boo is with you, and he has not growled the whole time he's been here.
Yeah.
Oh, Boo's with us?
Yes.
Oh,
He's always with me, ever present.
okay.
So,
Well, that's good to know.
I think we can assume that the collective thinks that Miles is alive. We know that Jarlaxle, for the most, I mean, if we are to believe the stone, which Vimak was unable to tell a lie, he is not a friend of theirs.
No. And from the conversation we were just having, anything to do with the Lithid, he seems pretty against it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I'm tired of, Anne. I'm tired of being a pawn.
I can join you on that one for sure.
And I'm also tired of being the only one taking action. So, why don't we turn things up a notch? If we manage to tell the collective that Miles is alive, it doesn't tell them where he is. It just tells them he's alive. And they knew he was alive beforehand, and they probably think he's alive now.
Okay.
If we tell Jarlaxle, who happens to be on our side, that he's alive, then that should answer his question of who's backing us. Not that it matters if he's behind us or not, because we're doing all the work, but whatever.
Well, he does seem to have 3 ships of drow.
I mean, that we're doing all the works. What does it matter if Miles is behind us? He's not doing anything.
True. Miles
So-
has...
The
No.
worst case scenario is we tell the collective that he's alive, which they probably already assume.
Okay. I can agree to that.
What do you
I
think?
think we'll get Jarlaxle on our side, at least.
Lorex, Vimak?
Yeah.
You're both
afraid of
very
this guy.
quiet.
Sorry. Yes. I mean, I don't like the idea of giving him more details than we should, but he's probably trustworthy.
What if we told him? What would be more impactful, to tell him that Miles is our backer or the last Baravon Does that mean anything to him?
He might ask.
You did mention the Baravons before.
You really won't buy that it's Anne that we're following? That she's the one in charge after all? Can't we feed him that line?
We could.
If you did, you would have to.
We can say that Miles left me some information.
If you did, you point everything at you. And honestly, I'd rather it be pointed at Miles than you.
I can change who I am.
He's immortal for the most part. He can take it.
I can be Anne when I want to, and I can be Charlotte. I can change into that person over there, and she shifts into one of the other people on the ship.
It's true, but you can't always watch your back.
That's why I have you guys.
I'm okay with whatever you want to tell him, but at this point, I'm loyal to the three of you.
Me too.
I'm done lying for Miles. He's got to start telling the truth for me to to cover for him.
I agree.
Y'all are his kin, so if y'all want to go with that, I'm with you.
Lorex?
I'm with Vimak. He's your kin. Can't say that you have to follow him, but I don't know. The decision is yours.
To be completely honest with you, if we found out tomorrow that Miles has lied to us all this time, then I would leave and follow the three of you. Not him.
I do admit that my clan being involved in this has run through my mind a few times. The safety of them. So, do believe we need to get some more information out of him.
Well, we don't completely trust Miles, and we don't trust Jarlaxle, so why don't we shove them together and find out what happens?
Okay.
Fair enough.
And then I'm going to say, let's go talk to the man in black.
Okay. All right, so the group, all four of you go, and as you walk up, you see that Jarlaxle is sitting there talking to one of his ladies. He's got his knee raised boot on a keg, doing the Captain Morgan pose, and looks over and he's like, "Oh yes, if you've had your conference, you wish to share more information, or have you decided to do me in?" And he kind of laughs, and the people around him kind of laugh as well. He goes, "Oh, which is it?"
We can
We'd like
share.
to
Yeah.
speak with you privately if that
"Oh, but of course. He goes, "Ladies, I'll be back in a moment. I'm needed elsewhere." And then he excuses himself, and the two of you, he takes you to basically like the captain's quarters, which is like this giant room with like the big desk and everything. As you walk in, it's massive, maps and armaments and everything in there. So you walk in, you see several closed chests and locks and things. He closes the door. He goes, "Ah, yes," and he pours himself. He finishes his drink and he pulls out some wine, and he hands you a glass of wine. "Now that we're away from the rest, we'll have the good stuff." So he hands you a glass of wine, and he goes, "So, what is it that we can talk about now that we are together?"
everybody else is with us, right? It's not just.
I thought it was just the two of you.
Well, we said privately was the whole.
Oh, no.
Privately is the whole
Y'all
party.
all bust in after Anne, and he's like, "Oh," and he's like mid-pour, he's like, "I'll get extra cups, I guess." So he goes and he grabs the extra glasses and hands. So now it's the four of you and him, and he takes and he kind of sits back at his desk, throws his feet up on the table, and it's this relaxed posture with one hand on his rapier, and he goes, "All right, So what is it?
Could we use your stone?
Use my what?
Stone. Truth-telling stone.
Sure. So he pulls out the stone, he puts it in the middle, he recites some arcane, he pops it up, he goes, I'll ask first. Fair, it's my ship, my stone.
Go for it.
Is Miles still around?
Yes, my turn. What is your intentions with him?
Well, I did owe him money, but if he's still around, I will pay my debts. I was very curious. I had heard rumors, and I was curious if those true, which you now have confirmed that they are.
Where'd you hear these rumors?
Wait. He didn't answer the question. What is your intentions with Miles Hawthorne now that you know that he's alive?
I haven't decided yet. That's true.
You had an idea that he was alive. Therefore, you had already plotted out what you would do either way. A man does not get into your situation.
No. See, first, I heard a tailor was killed, and the tailor may be still around, had evaded death in some way, and I thought that was interesting. And then I meet all of you, and I feel there's more to Miles than I ever knew, and so I am not decided what my intentions are. So I'll ask you, is there more to Miles than just being a simple tailor?
Yes. My turn. You should stop asking yes or no questions, by the way.
Anne's enjoying this, drinking her wine, just letting Cordan have fun.
Do you truly intend to defeat the collective?
Do we have a choice? Of course. If what you say is true, which it is, I assume that we are forced allies, whether you and I like it or not.
Okay.
So you might as well enjoy the wine.
I am, thank you.
Ah, good. It's quite expensive.
She has to tell the truth.
This is
Very true.
It's very true. It's very true.
Thank you.
I have one final question. It's something I'm very curious about.
Well, you can have one final question, but it would give me a final question, because you asked first.
Fair. Anne.
Well, you're talking to me.
No, I'm talking to Anne. Anne, I know that you are not human. What are you?
How do you know I'm not human?
I've traveled around a lot, and I've met lots of humans, and you don't seem to be of their ilk. So what are you?
I don't fully understand it myself.
This
That
guise.
has got to be true.
This guise that you have, is it? It's not a magical. This is something that you're doing yourself.
It's me. Anne is me.
Are you a doppelganger? That would be interesting.
Seems like a third question.
He goes,
Cordan?
it's my ship, my rules. I'm in the same line of questioning. What? Are you a doppelganger?
I'm me.
You
I don't know what I am.
What
I'm
you
me.
are. Oh, this is fascinating. Ah, very good. All right, so he looks over and goes, yes, impatient man over here. What is your question?
That was Lorex. I wasn't saying anything.
No, he's talking to you. So, Cordan,
I didn't say anything. How am I impatient?
do you have a question?
Cordan, stop being so impatient and ask the man.
Apparently.
I've got a question.
The lovely
you ask
Anne.
her, it's only fair that she asks you.
Your
Can we
question.
trust you?
Of course not. He goes, but drink up. We are on the same side, at least for today. And with that, he
One
takes
more question from me.
He picks up the stone on the
Hang on.
house.
Leave the stone.
Sets it down.
Did you steal this?
Do you steal from the dead?
Mm.
And then he puts it in his pocket. With that, he goes, "Come, much merriment, too much serious talk. Tell Miles I'll pay him his money, and we'll get back to our way." So the night continues, and you notice that the ships seem to operate better at night. The sailors are more. They don't have an aversion to the night like they did during the day. They just seem to be working better, even through the merriment and the drinking and everything. You get just outside. It seems like you travel almost twice as far as you did during the day. And with that, just before the sun breaks, you can see Waterdeep as the ships come in. But you're coming in to the south side, which is where Undercliff is, and there's these fishers' docks that you can pull up to, and their plan is to unload all of you and then to head back to Luskan, and kind of in the early morning, whenever everything's just only the fishermen are up, it'd be the better time to unload 40 some odd Goliath before anyone asks any questions, and they'll be on their way. But before they go, Jarlaxle, who's now back into Captain Zord form, in his human form, walking up, and as the sun comes, you can kind of see his one eye kind of glaring, and he looks over at Anne, and he goes, "I have a letter for you. Now, before you go, I want you to take this, and if you see Miles and you decide you need a powerful ally in Waterdeep, look for the man, or I'll use the term man very, very loosely, but Aranax. Look for Aranax. He owes me a favor, and I think you would like to meet him. He'd be a good ally on our side." And then he writes down an address on the top of the letter as well. He goes, "You'll find him under this address. He likes to disguise himself as a dwarf, but between you and me," and he kind of he leans forward and whispers in the ear, he's a gold dragon. And with that, he hands you the letter, and he goes, "All right, man, let him ship off." And he kind of lowering you into the boats and everything as they're dropping you guys off. So he hands you that letter. Lorex, anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. So at this point, Vimak, anything before we leave?
No.
And Cordan, anything before we leave?
Don't think so. I'm still going to try to work with the equations and figure out how long we have left.
Okay.
for this thing.
All right, so it's early morning. You guys can, if you double time it, you can hoof it over the countryside and get back over to Undercliff. You can find your way over to the Amcathra Ranch. Is there anything anyone wants to do while you're traveling back to your stronghold?
I've got my spell set up.
Lorex?
Yeah.
Okay.
That thing we've been talking about.
Right. Okay. So as you're traveling, and you're walking, and you've got your duster coat, and you've got the letter, you're looking over that, you go to put that letter in your pocket for safekeeping, and as you reach in there, you pull out another letter in your parchment that you did in your pouch that you didn't know you had, and you pull out that letter. What do you want to do? It's a note you didn't know you had. Someone must have put it in your pocket.
Read it.
What does it say?
Anne, thank you. We had a conversation while trapped on that other plane, and I cannot begin to explain to you what that meant to me. You've treated me better than I have ever known, better than I deserve. I'm sorry that this is how I must repay you. When the lantern shattered, I felt the connection break. Miles' phylactery is no more, as is my imprisonment. I hold my own lantern now, and I must take advantage of this opportunity. Tell Cordan that even though he can be a jerk, I respect him dearly. Tell Vimak it pains me that I won't see him fulfill his destiny. Goodbye, Anne.
And you look around, and Lorex is not here.
Where's Lorex?
Anne would probably just start crying. I'm about to start crying.
You look about, and the Kuatoa are marching with you. And you look around, and he is vanished. I mean, there's 20 Kuatoa, there's 40 Goliath, there's the group, there's this massive, just in the massive crowd, the little dwarf has disappeared.
Do I see one of the Kuatoa that I recognize its name?
Yes, you do.
Where's Lorex?
And you see, Hilfin, no, what was his? I'm sorry, I have a
Hilfin,
whole
I think,
list.
is-
I still have a whole list of Kuatoa names
Sib
here.
something and
Sibgil,
Hilfin.
yes, it's
Sibgil.
Hilfin. You see Hilfin, who was a close friend of Lorex. He goes, yes, can I help you?
Where's Lorex?
Look, I don't know. He just comes and goes, doesn't he?
Not from around me. Where's Lorex?
Before he left, he said he had some errands to run, but he would be back. And he told all of us, to guard you with our lives. So we said, yes, Lorex, we will. So we guard you now, until he returns.
Thank you.
Sure. What would you have us do?
Just keep marching on.
I have a problem.
What's that?
The big one in your group, with the giant maul and the small...
Vimak?
Yes, that little thing that he has keeps nipping at us. He's trying to eat us. And we want to defend ourselves, but we don't want to, cause any, unpleasantries in the group if we were to eat it in return.
No eating our friends.
Well, will you tell him not to eat us?
I will have a conversation.
And he looks over, he goes, and he's got bite marks around his arm. He's like, he did this to me while I was on the boat.
Lorex, you're not here. You're not allowed to laugh.
The last cackle comes through.
I can laugh off camera. Laszlo's still here. Come on.
So
I would take his arm. I don't have cure wounds. I can't help you, but I am so sorry. I will speak with the Topaz Dragon about.
I appreciate it. It's just it's okay. We don't mind. We just have a thing about not getting eaten. Just not, we do the eating.
No one wants to be eaten. Absolutely.
Right,
I'm really sorry, Hilfin.
Oh, sure. Well, and with that, you go back up and you see Hilfin's right there next with you, like protecting you.
I would start walking with Cordan or trying to find Vimak.
Right. And as you walk about, you're just this constant smell of fish over your shoulder.
I'm sure Soot's also looking back too.
Soot's kind of looking back too. The closer you get to Vimak, you see that the Hilfin kind of like backs off just a little bit as Vimak is walking with the Topaz wormling on his shoulder. But Hilfin is keeping a watchful glare in your direction, just to make sure that that you're safe.
Lorex is gone.
And you're talking to Vimak.
Ow.
Gone. You walked away.
I'll use my telepathy stone and say, "Works."
What is the range on that?
I think it's only like 60 feet or something.
Yeah,
like that.
he's not within 60 feet.
Okay.
There's no response.
It's gone.
Unfortunately, I'm 61 feet away.
I'll run in circles, see if I get radar
Just missed him.
reception.
Hold it up a little higher, a little to the right, a little to the left.
Get some aluminum foil, quick!
I'll he is gone. What happened?
He is his own master now, and went to go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I never saw that arrangement as being very beneficial to him. So
No,
I guess I can't say I blame him.
I don't blame him. Doesn't mean that. We just stood on
We'll
the
definitely
ship
miss
and
him.
said that we were in this together, and now he's gone.
Cordan, you
I
walk
think
up
he's
and
been
see,
taken.
you see this conversation they're having. Cordan, you walk up and you see there's something wrong.
What seems to be the problem?
I'd hand Cordan the note.
And Cordan, you look over the note and quickly read over it.
I would stop and think about it for a second. And then I would say, he'll be back.
I hope so.
He will. I wasn't keeping him around. Vimak wasn't keeping him around. He can say that this connection was keeping him around. It's not the truth. He'll be back.
Yes, you're right. He will be back. And you look over, and Hilfin has been eavesdropping, kind of close to you, and he goes, yes, he'll be back. Yes.
And I take the note and put it into my bag of holding. And
You notice
put it
that
away.
basically wherever Vimak is, Hilfin is staying like on the opposite end. But he kind of stays back. Yes, and he's kind of like always like, you got to think they're fish. So he's always got one eye on the topaz wormling, and the other eye is kind of looking in the other direction. He's got his eye on you. All right, so you in the early wee hours of the morning, this army marches their way up into town, into Undercliff. You take some back paths, so you not go down Broadway of the street. You kind of go back. You manage to get everyone up. Now the little tributary that you created, all of the Kuatoa immediately just kind of seep into the water and go back into the underground grotto. But now you're back home. And we'll turn the map there. Okay, let me zoom this out. Okay, so you come home and you find the Stormpike dwarves are getting the day started. You see there's already smoke coming out of the chimney of the tavern. There's the forge has already been lit, and you see there's several people. It's pretty busy. You see horses. This has become a waypoint in the time that you've gone, and you see a lot of people kind of coming and going from the tavern. And as you're looking around now, Cordan, you look in the distance, and you see that your tree has grown exponentially since you've been gone. And you notice, you look over and that several of those pods in the distance, have grown big and have popped open. And you see that there's empty pods.
I'm going to go check it out.
All right, so you go to check that out. As you run over to the glade, the door of the tavern opens up, and you see Soto sitting there, and he sees Anne. He goes, "Oh, Anne's back." He goes, "Anne, oh, sorry, Anne." Anyway, so he kind of runs up, and he runs up, and he sees that all these Goliath. He goes, "Anne, are you under arrest? Is there a problem?"
There's no problem.
There's so many,
back.
and they're so
Yes,
large, so big.
We've got some new friends.
I see,
And
friends.
Yeah, they're friends, allies.
May I have a word with you? I have some information for you.
Absolutely. I would probably shift into Giselle, knowing
Okay.
if we're walking into the tavern.
Okay, so you shift into Giselle, and he pulls you into the back part of the tavern. He just goes, "So, I didn't know what happened to you, so I fasted and I prayed for you, and I kept my eyes on Savras, the mighty Savras, and I prayed for your safe return, and I didn't know what to do, and I woke up and this gold coin was in my hand. Do you know what this is?"
No.
And you look at this gold coin, and it's very intricately made, and on it is this symbol that you don't really recognize. It's a globe with all these little eyes on it, and if you look at the coin, you almost look like the eyes are moving in some way. And he goes, "Oh, that's the sigil of Savras himself. I prayed for his divine sight, and I was given this. If we take this to a temple of Savras, we can get divine guidance to know what to do next. Wisdom, we can see something that has happened in the past or something that may happen in the future. It's our chance to gaze into the unknown.
Thank you.
Sure. Now, I'll have to help you, but there is, I was waiting for you to return. I was going to use it to know where you were, but now you're here. It's most, but if you want, he's very skittish. I could take you to, believe there's a temple in Waterdeep on the far end in the castle ward. I could take you there.
We have a little bit of talking to do with some other people around here. We can do that maybe a little later today.
I understand.
Tomorrow,
Yes.
There's a couple conversations, but this is incredibly helpful.
Is there anything else I can do for you?
No, I appreciate you. Thank you.
You've been through a lot. You're so dirty. And he licks his paw and he takes his paw and he kind of like rushes some of the dirt away from your eye and everything. He's like,
I use prestidigitation and clean myself and go, thank you.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you.
No,
It's a habit. I apologize.
I appreciate. Thank you.
Sure. And he reaches over and he grabs his little cup of milk and drinks a little milk out of it.
I'd probably just sit there for a minute and be like, and grab a cup of milk or coffee or tea or ale.
Coffee.
Probably ale.
Yeah, no coffee. There's coffee. You had it brought in. All right, so you drink coffee, and as you sit down with Soto and you share this morning drink together, you look over your shoulder and you see one of the sailors from that you recognized from Jarlaxle's crew is sitting in the bar.
Okay.
And he looks over at you and he's just got this really crazy looking grin. He's like, hey.
Hello.
He looks over and he kind of moves closer to you. He's just kind of looking around. And you notice one of his eyes kind of move kind of crazily. And you get closer to me and he smells awfully like fish.
He's a good dog.
You got the hat.
Does he have the hat on?
He does have the hat on.
Do you like being a human?
And he's just drinking his ale and just kind of like looking about.
Hello! I am the Little Blorp. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
And for the rest of the night, our friend Laszlo will be playing the role of...
Little Blorp.
Little Blorp?
Little Blorp.
Little Blorp, the Kuatoa.
I am the archpriest of the Kuatoa.
Now, he sounds like this, but he looks human with this ridiculous giant pirate hat on.
And reeks of fish.
And reeks of fish.
I reek of delicious fish.
Can I use prestidigitation on the spell?
You can, but there's a limitation to that.
I wondered that. Can I just make a little smell of lavender under my nose?
Correct. Okay.
I no longer smell like the fish that I've been eating, but I do still smell like the fish that I am.
Right. So in the meantime, until we find out what happens with Lorex, Laz will be playing. What's the name again?
Little Blorp.
Blue Blorp.
Archpriest of Little Blorp. Big blid little orp.
Irish.
It's the Irish Kuatoa.
The archpriest of the Kuatoa, not the Irish, the archpriest.
Ellie isn't. She's hid under her blanket.
They follow.
Why don't we get you some ale? You stay here and be cozy.
Sounds like a good idea. If you would like to chat later, we will chat.
Well, did you come in with Lorex's friends?
Of course, we Kuatoa seek fulfillment by following the example of the great Lorex in unending servitude to the House of Harthamore.
I really appreciate that. You look very fancy in your hat.
Thank you.
And I would fill up his ale and just let him sit there while I just kind of mindlessly did some things.
Right.
And then tried to see if Vimak or Cordan walk in and be like,
So Vimak,
Am I seeing this?
no, you're outside. You're over at you're inspecting. We'll get to you in a second. You're off inspecting the pods. Before we get to that, Vimak, you and the rest of the Goliath all immediately go and congregate around the forge as they all kind of look over, and some of the dwarves are there looking up, and they recognize Vimak. Vimak, you're kind of doing introductions, but they're all kind of like looking over the forge and like looking over and goes, good metal. And they're kind of sizing up the armaments and the capabilities of the forge. Is there anything else you want to do, Vimak?
I, for some reason, really want to go over to the tavern. I think Solstice is smelling something tasty.
That is true. So you head over to the tavern. It's breakfast, and all the Goliath seem to be kind of happy congregating. I mean, they're all out, kind of like there's some of them out in the woods looking around, kind of scouting about. But as you're walking around, you just kind of have this thought, like you're going to have to do something about the fact that you've got over 40 Goliath in this camp. You know, I mean, there are other visitors here coming, and they're seeing like. Goliath are rare. Now there's a lot of them, and they're armed. So you start heading over to the tavern. You smell you smell like bacon and eggs and all that kind of fun stuff like coming. You smell breakfast, and so you go, and well, the other thing too is you've got to now feed all of these people. So you walk in, so you open up the tavern, you look around, and you see Soto and Anne sitting with a pirate.
Little Lord.
Well, so it looks like one of the pirates that you just left. And you walk in, and as soon as you do, Solstice, the wormling on your shoulder, also smells breakfast as you come into the tavern.
oh no.
All right, Solstice. Calm yourself. I'll walk over to my friends.
You just hear,
Soto!
fish.
You keep that thing away from me.
How about I
He
buy
looks
you?
hungry. And he's
That is a
fighting.
strange voice coming from that human drow thing.
I'm gonna look over at him and go, "What the hell are you?"
I am Little Blorp, archpriest of the Cortoa. We follow the example of the great Lorex in unending servitude to the House of Harthamore.
Are you going to repeat that every single time we ask you?
I think the better question is, please repeat that every time we ask you.
Yeah. Oh, well, let me buy you a drink, friend.
I would love that. Thank you.
See, you've had a few already. It's like you drink like a fish.
This one is only like a quarter empty.
Oh, friend, let's give you as many as your little gills can stand.
And Solstice goes,
Thank you, sir.
you hear Solstice whisper into Vimak's ear, yes, fatten him up.
Hey, Solstice. Can I speak to Solstice and Draconic?
Yes.
Solstice, the Kuatoa.
No, in Draconic, Ellie.
Oh, you sure?
All right, so anyway, so in Draconic, what are you saying?
Solstice, we can't eat the Kuatoa. We will get you some fish, but they can't be food.
And just this disappointment. Okay, fine.
We will make sure that we get you lots of delicious fish, I promise.
They're just extra salty.
I'll throw some extra salt on your next fish. How's that sound?
Squid?
We could try and find you some squid.
Oh, okay. He's just total dejection. Like, he's just like sitting, he's hungry, he's sitting there in front of like this
Would I
large
have any
piece
fish
of.
in the back?
You can check and see.
Can I check and see if there's fish for...
Yeah, so you can go check on that. Vimak, is there anything that you want to do now that you've talked to your Kuatoa friend?
I just tell Solstice that, I like this one so far, but if his voice does get on our nerves a lot, I'll let him eat him.
Just give me the word. And over the week, like he's gone from 1 or 2 words. He's speaking pretty fluently. He's progressing extremely fast.
Okay.
So just a sponge.
I guess we'll press Soto for some news of any happenings. You know, did they know that we disappeared and all that?
Oh, there's been a lot of worry about where you were and if you would come in with the. He looks around and goes, "If you had been gotten, I didn't know what to do. I did the only thing I knew to do. I hid and prayed for your safe return. But I mainly hid."
Thank you, Soto.
But I see my prayers have been answered. No.
Is he eyeing this? Okay.
No, he's not a savage.
Cats like fish.
I know. It was.
And they don't like terminal velocity.
Science.
Right.
All right, let's cut scene here. Let's go to Cordan. All right, so as the breakfast club is meeting, Cordan goes up, and you're inspecting the pods. They're all empty. They got big, and they're empty. As you're looking about, you hear a gruff, and you look and you see. You look around at some of the trees outside of your immediate circle, and you look, and all of the bark has been ripped off of the trees. Not your tree, but around the like basically the trees like off to the side here. And you see walking in is Blaze, the third of the Wildheart clan that did not go with you. And he comes walking out, kind of stretching his back. Oh, good, you've returned. I tended your garden, and I kept these safe here. But how did you?
What did you do to the other trees?
It's just this shedding and the itching. I hope you don't mind. I kept these safe.
Thanks.
But, anyway, about a day or so ago, these, pods all, popped, and these little blue things came out of them, and they fluttered about, and they seem to be taking care of the tree.
Where are they?
They kind of come to, and there are times they're here, and then they're not here. They seem to have some type of magical ability to not be seen unless they want to be seen. I tried to round them up, but they're quite hard to catch. But I smell them. They're here. He's looking around. Yeah, they're here.
I'm going to sit down and try to commune with nature and try to draw them out.
Okay. All right, so as you commune, you hear a flittering of wings. And you look around and you open your eyes and you see this strange blue creature land next to you. And there's this wild white hair sticking up, blue skin, like a mixture between hair and fur. And it's kind of fluttering about, and it kind of turns its head sideways and kind of looks at you and goes, You, who are you?
I am Cordan.
You're Cordan. The tree told us that you would return.
Who are you?
I'm Miz. I was firstborn, and I guess the leader. We've been tending the garden for you.
Well, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Yes. Well, would you like to see what we're growing?
Of course.
We are simple farmers, but we're here to help. Come, I take you to our berries.
Yes.
Right, so he kind of flutters, and you follow this little blue pixie around the back of the tree, and in that tree there's a knot that has opened up, and you get close and you look in there, and you see a couple other smaller blue pixies kind of move out, and you see Niz standing there, and he goes, if you'll reach in, and he flies down, and he grabs this giant, like, it looks like a giant purple berry. And then as he puts it in his hand, he realizes it's just a berry. It's just the perception of him picking this thing up. And he put it up, and he goes, we've been growing these for you. The tree, it knew you would need this particular type of berry. So we brought it for you.
Should I eat it?
Well, we grow them, but we are limited in them. They allow you to change your form.
Oh. Very interesting.
The tree told us this was the recipe you wanted.
And they'll keep? Like I can keep them with me?
Yes. How many do you need?
Well, I wouldn't want you to stress the tree, but as they're grown, I'll take them.
Sure. We have about 50 or so ready whenever you need.
50?
Yes.
Yes, I think
And
I know where 40 of them could go.
They last for about a day or so, but we can grow them pretty quickly here as long as the soil is good and everything is taken care of.
Okay, yes. I'll send someone with a basket to collect these.
Sure. You want to take all of them now?
I'll send someone right back out here.
Is there anything else you would like for us to grow?
Do we have any idea of what we're capable of here?
Well, simply ask, and I'll see what the tree can provide.
Yes. Is there anything that can replenish one's magical abilities?
Oh, yes, a little bit harder. We'll have to... I believe there's a pumpkin I know of that can do that.
I would be very interested in that.
I'll confer with my friends and see. Larger, take longer to grow, but we can do something like that.
I would also, whenever time permits it, like to get a list of your friends' names here.
Sure, but of course. I'll get that together. There's more of us. They're still hatching. There's about 20 of us, I believe.
Oh, wow. Is there anything I can do for you?
Yes, well, I don't mean to be a bother.
Go ahead.
The person that you left in charge to tend to the garden, we use the bark. We need it, and he's been destroying it.
Yeah, I didn't put him in charge. He just kind of took over. I'll take care of that.
I appreciate it. I don't mean to be a bother. He's kind of scary. He scares some of the little ones, and I appreciate having such a strong protector, but we need the bark.
I'll talk to him.
Sure. So I'll collect the berries for you.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, and with that, he flutters, and you just see like this dust in the air as he just vanishes, but you still sense that he's there.
Okay. I'm also going to find Blaze and be like, okay, don't need you anymore. Out of the garden.
And he looks up and he's like eating some of the berries. What? I'm done?
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, okay, well, hey, is Mari with you and Thornton?
Yeah, they're back. Go find them.
Oh, okay. He reaches over and he's got like berries, like juice, like coming out of his beard. He's like reaches over and he leaves. And with that, so we're done with that. Everyone meets back up at the tavern. So Cordan, you come in and you see the scene with Soto and Anne and Vimak and a pirate, that you recognize, seems familiar, as you sit down and you there's like this strange mixture of smell, like eggs, bacon, coffee brewing, and rank fish.
I would probably recognize because I saw the whole thing go down.
Well, yeah, but you didn't really pay too much attention to it. At first, you're like, "Oh, draw
I
exorcisms."
always pay attention.
I understand.
They were
but-
passing the hat around, right?
yeah.
To the other Kuoto.
So you don't know who we landed on, but it landed on
the
this one.
Spell points this one out.
Right. So you sit down and you see this strange-eyed, like even though he's human, his eyes just kind of like don't seem to match which way they're going. Like he has like permanent walleye.
Friend, tell him who you are.
I am Little Blorp. I am Archpriest of the mighty Kuotoa. We seek fulfillment, following the example of Lorex in unending servitude to the House of Harfamore.
After I hear this, I'm just going to turn and look at Vimak and be like, so I wanted to show you something.
Just don't even pay him any attention. Okay.
I want to take out the berry,
Okay.
and I want to eat it, and I want to look like Martha Stewart.
And you do look like Martha Stewart.
I'm going to use my stone and turn into Oprah Winfrey.
Okay, so now we have Martha Stewart and Oprah Winfrey having breakfast in the tavern.
I use my hat to turn into Ellen DeGeneres.
And now we've gone full Monty Python, folks.
She's a
All right.
changeling. She wouldn't be Dr. Phil.
Right. All right. So the entire daytime host of characters. So basically, what we found out, we now have
I
lots
blame
of.
Little Blorp.
We have many ways to transform ourselves and disguise self, as the most unlikely cast of characters in Faerun have now descended into the tavern. That's good
So I
stuff.
wanted to point out to
People
Vimak, because I don't think you understand. I have enough of these for every Goliath. So what I'm trying to say is, you get a berry, and you get a berry, and you get a berry, and you get a berry. So we have a way of
You get wrecked, and you get
Them
wrecked.
berries out to them Goliaths.
anyway, we have a way of disguising them. Now, how we can keep that on them, what we can use it for, I don't know. But I wasn't expecting you being able to do this.
I suppose he'd tell me about the duration, too. The duration will... wonder how fast the berries can be grown. If they
I
can
don't
eat
know,
one a day,
well-
or...
Yeah, I think so. By the way,
Okay.
I've got like a whole bunch of pixies out in the garden. It's really crazy. They can grow all kind of stuff.
What did your pods?
Yeah, they're little pixie people, and they
gonna
smell
order a
way
cigar.
better than this
You're like-
guy.
And as you all are
Give it
having
to-
breakfast,
give it
Thorbrick comes in, the head of the Stormpikes, and he reaches over and he goes, "Oh, good, it's true. He looks over and goes, "Our benefactor would like to see you. We were worried about what had happened to you."
Well, we've put this off long enough. Let's go.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You stay here.
As soon as we get in there, introduce yourself.
Okay.
I
yes,
will do
yes, yes.
so.
He needs
Can
to
I
go.
ask-
Yes.
Can I ask a question first, though?
Of course.
I have introduced myself three times, tried to be very polite, and no one has told me their name.
Yes, yes. I suppose we should have done that. Yes. I apologize. My name is Vimak.
I'm
I
sorry.
forget
we
your
were so
name. What is
rude.
it? No.
I am Little Blorp.
Oh, yes, yes.
Little Blorp, it's really nice to meet you. I have different names. I'm currently Giselle. It's nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Giselle.
We're back together. We're all together, and at this point, we've decided to head down and have the inevitable conversation with the benefactor. And with that, we'll shift scenes over there. We're in the sanctum of the area. We are moving on, and as soon as you walk in, you see Saradwin walking about with her robes, and she sees first Anne walking down, and she goes, "Oh, Anne is back. It's wonderful." She looks over and goes, Miles, come quickly. And you see Miles turn the corner, and Anne, you abruptly stop as you see Miles. He looks like a young man. A very young man. You have never seen him like this before. He's always
How young?
like he's in his 20s. Like he looks like your age.
Miles, what happened?
He goes, and he goes, I think I know. Once everyone comes in, I'll ask the question. And he looks over and he sees all of you come in. He goes, this sailor chap here, is he part of your group? Do you trust him?
Don't
yes.
ask his name, but yes, it's okay.
He is.
Oh, ask him his name.
I'm sorry, sir. What is your name?
I am Little Blorp. I am archpriest of the mighty Cordan.
Oh,
Seek fulfillment. You seem to be
I
still
see. You're with
Oh.
Lorex's group. I understand.
Yes.
Where is Lorex? I much like to speak with him. Is he not with you? Did he fall in battle? Is he gone?
He's gone and we don't know where.
He is no longer bound.
Let me ask. No longer bound. Did something happen to the lantern?
Someone from your past destroyed it.
That doesn't narrow it down very much, but it was destroyed. And when he says that, he looks over and Sheridan goes, "It is as we feared. Your phylactery has been lost." And he looks and goes, "Which is why I look as young as I do. My essence has been returned to me. What I had put into the phylactery is now returned to me."
How many phylacteries do you have?
Well, if we're being honest, that was my one.
Does the
And
name
he's the worst planner I've ever met.
Ashnoth Baravan mean anything to you?
Ashnoth that's not a name, it's a word. Where did you
What does it
hear
mean?
that? Death?
The one who broke your.
It means death.
I'm going to lay out the whole thing of how we were on the interstellar vehicle and how there was a Githyanki and how we were on another planet and how this is spread and also that other people know he's alive now.
There's a lot to take in. First, who told you that word, Ashnoth? That is not a language that has been spoken in millennia.
A Githyanki that possessed me. And then possessed.
And Saradin looks over and goes, "Seems the ghosts of the past are catching up to us." And Miles looks over and goes, "Yes, it does seem that way.
He was a prisoner on a collective ship.
Yeah, he wasn't a prisoner.
Doesn't.
His spirit may have been, but he wasn't."
He was locked in a. I don't know what that was. A cage?
I don't know, maybe it was his remains, I don't know. And Saradin looks over and he goes, "Well, we're towards the end." And Miles away goes, "Yes, I believe we are."
All right, I've done with this. Cordan is just furious at this point and says, "Look, we get the whole story now or we walk. We're done with this keeping secrets."
Where are you going to walk to? The collective are nearing victory.
Okay.
So you're just giving up?
I know, there's always more time to fight. It's just, I've always had a way out, and now I don't. And I don't have a way to create another.
Okay. Who is this guy? What are you not telling us?
I told you before. Remember when I told you my story before that I refused to believe that there was ever a way to rid the collective that didn't involve just killing everyone that had been infected. Well, the old Githyanki, that was their plan, was to kill everyone who had been taken over, and I wouldn't stand for it. And Saradin stops him and says, It's time to tell them what happened." And Miles looks and says,
Yes, it is.
Fine. After everything had happened, we returned to Waterdeep. We returned here to this land, and we brought armies and reinforcements, and we were allied with these Githyanki. They came from the beyond. They came from the stars. We allied with them, and they had hunted these Illithid. They knew how to kill them. It was our blessing from above that we together would fight them. But they had a very strict way of fighting, that if any of them or any of us had been taken over, that person had to die. It was the only way to be sure the infection would leave. And I went along with it. And I didn't know what I had agreed to until we reached the city and I saw them killing everyone, and at first I went along with it until, and he stops until Ceridwen says, until I was infected. And Miles looks back and goes, yes, the Githyanki seeing that Ceridwen was infected, they killed her in the streets while I watched. And I could not go along with it.
And you wreaked vengeance upon them.
Yes, I killed the one who killed Ceridwen, and I killed his comrades and his commanders and everyone.
How did you return Ceridwen to life?
That is where that villain, Serac, comes into play. I didn't know she could be brought back to life. I buried her and moved on and hunted all the blasted Githyanki down, and until I came across this Serac, this other lich who had been around forever, and he saw my plight. He wanted to use me, and he traded me my servitude for bringing back Ceridwen, and I agreed. It was for 1,000 years I would serve him if he would bring her back, and he did. And then
Without the taint of the infection.
Without the taint, yes. He made us into similar to what he is, but he did not tell us how to make phylacteries. We each only had one, and not knowing how to make another. And now mine is gone. Which is why we've stayed in hiding. It's a fragile existence.
Well, that might be for the better, because there's a lot of people who are not going to want to serve a lich.
Well, I still am. I'm just vulnerable. But we must keep Ceridwen safe. That is all I care about.
The comet is not a comet, you know this, right?
No.
I'm going to...
What do you mean?
Can Danny use the telepathy thing to link minds to let us show him what we saw?
I'm gonna allow it just because I think it's good storytelling. Yes, sure. I like that idea.
So we'll just show him what we saw and the planet and the
All right,
way...
so Vimak, you pull out the stone, you connect minds, you kind of share these images, and Miles sees it and he goes, "Is that coming here?
Yes.
Well, we must hurry."
That's the comet that you've seen.
I thought it was something else. I thought it was destiny. I thought, and Ceridwen looking over is just kind of goes and like holds him, and you see there's affection between the two that you haven't seen in the past. Like they've always been close, but you're actually seeing like affection as Ceridwen kind of puts his arms around him and says, "It's okay. It's time. It's time to fight." And with that, Miles looks up and he goes, I believe you're right. We need to call in everything we can. This is... How long do we have until the comet
I'm still
returns?
trying to figure that out. But I have one more question. We have an army of Kuatoa, an army of Goliath, many dwarves, many allies. And that would lead us to think that we should immediately go to war. But with all of these forces combined, what if we took the next week and actually put all of our minds together and tried to rebuild the temple in a week?
Could be done.
You say you don't know of a way to beat him. We don't know of what this army could do that any other army couldn't do in the past.
We still don't know who their leader is or what's leading them. We don't know our end of what we're fighting. Sure, we can take out the people or the Illithids that are taking over people or the people that are infected, but Where's the root of the problem? Is it that ship?
Miles
Here?
Miles says, no, we believed it was something that was beneath the city. It's in the Underdark itself. If you recall, it was the discovery of that place that whenever it was opened, something came out of it. That's what happened thousands of years ago, and so whatever it is that's leading them has got to be down there.
Well, we know some folks who might know the area fairly well.
Have we made new allies?
Tell them about
Allies?
Jarlaxle.
Jarlaxle.
Oh, allies might be a strong word.
He says he's on the same side as us.
Same side of
Well,
getting rid of a lithid.
yes.
He's horrible at dice.
Sorry, little blorp?
He's horrible at dice.
Oh, did you beat him at dice?
The cap.
Do you take it off and turn into a fish man?
Yes.
Yeah. And then put it back on.
Well, he as long as we understand that he's always on his side, but he could be a worthy ally. I mean,
To be fair, Uncle, from our point of view, you're also on your side.
Mm-hmm.
My intentions are always the same. I am bound to protect Ceridwen, and I will do whatever I can to protect her.
We know. So, we know that there's a supernatural being that inhabits this area. What's the worst that could happen if we rebuild this temple and see what happens?
Ceridwen speaks up. Well, Mother may not approve of what we've done, but I would much like to converse with her.
Oh, your mother.
Mother. I was wondering who that was.
Also, Miles goes, before we get back to that, I'm not looking forward to speaking to her either, but Master Vimak, did your clan make it safely? We saw that they were on the other side of Waterdeep, but we sent the Kuatoa to retrieve them. Did they make it back okay?
We lost a third in a battle against some Duergar.
Duergar?
Most of us made.
Duergar?
Yes.
They are from the Underdark as well. That makes sense.
Ambushed us.
Well, what is our next step then? I can get the dwarves, and if your Goliath friends can help, we could rebuild the temple quickly and commune with Lashana. And he says that kind of under his breath, and Ceridwen kind of cuts eyes over at him. You can tell there's some uneasy about that.
Soto has given us a gift of being able to see anything that we need to see. We could look to see what is the root of this problem.
Could do that.
You could handle that. I could give berries to all the Goliath, and we could have them disguised while we rebuild the temple. We could say we hired the folks or whatever. There may be a map maker who needs to make adjustments for rooms, but that's okay.
What does Ceridwen think?
I believe this thing began in the Underdark. It must end there. I don't know if it's in the surface or how deep it goes, but I believe that's where this battle is going to conclude. I've always thought that. But
So you believe the collective originated here on our planet and then spread to the stars?
I don't know that. I just know that whatever. I just remember it didn't. I was a child when this happened, but I just remember hearing that it wasn't until that was opened that there were any problems. We could be wrong. I don't know, but
it's a start.
Okay.
And I believe Miles comes and goes, regardless, we need more information. For the sake of time, let's say that we all do as Cordan says, and we'll recreate the temple and see if there's any knowledge that can be gained by bringing in, talking to Lashana again. We do know that bringing the temple back, from what we heard earlier just a few weeks ago, that she would return, and that may be something that we need to focus on. So we can begin to work on that. And Vimak, if you don't mind helping us with the Goliath on that end. And he looks over at the sailor and says, you continue helping with the defenses of the town. And he looks over and he says, but Anne, I believe there are still more answers in Waterdeep if you want to investigate.
I'll go with Soto. And I haven't had a chance to read the letter. Is the letter for me or is the letter for...
The letter is for someone else.
Someone else. I've got a letter to deliver from Terlaxel.
And Miles looks and goes, is that business or is that a personal matter?
I have a letter to deliver to somebody that could potentially be an ally.
Well, we definitely need allies. Did he mention to whom it was?
Arnax.
Yeah.
Arnax, that's a dragon's name. That can't be. Dragons are not allowed in Waterdeep.
I'm sure Illithids aren't either.
No, they're warded against. There's wards around the city. Magical barriers. They're not allowed. Dragonkin even cannot eat into the city. So magical barriers. I don't understand who you're delivering this to.
Well, only one way to find out.
Well, if Jarlaxle gives it to you, then that means that he at least trusts you. Always trying to kill you, but I believe he trusts you. I would investigate that matter. If you want to go, Anne, you could make it to the city in midday and see what you can find out.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Are we set on me and Soto and I trying to figure out what the root of this is what we're going to be fighting? Or is there any other pressing information, past, future, present, that we need to know?
Sounds like the most logical thing to do.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay. So, with that, we have a plan in place of rebuilding the temple, and we want to have Anne go to the city with Soto and do some investigation. So,
I will go with her.
yes, you will, as a bodyguard.
Little blurb, that would be great. Thank you.
Vimak and Cordan, after you get everything ready and set up with the Goliath, you want to go with her as well?
Yes.
And now you could take a berry, Vimak, and eat it and turn into something else and not a Goliath.
I would also probably take a minute to explain to the little blorp and introduce myself. This is Anne. Change. This is Charlotte. Just to throw little blorp in. Like, you can change your hat. I can do it without a hat.
He changes into a fish and says, "This is Blittle Blorb." And he changes into the pirate and goes, "This is Blittle Blorb." And he changes into a third, "This is Blittle Blorb."
All right.
Amazing.
So with that, we're going to push on to the city. All right, so now we know that we're heading into the city for investigation and to find out some things that are happening, and we'll pick up next week. So thank you so much for getting through some absolute hilarious hijinks tonight. I appreciate all of you. And then until next week when we pick up with episode 18, keep rolling with advantage. So thanks to everybody.
Bye.